Yes, Secretary General, dear Antonio, I'm very, very glad to welcome you here and your team for the second time. Last year, when we had the first edition, we were at the beautiful Green Tree Estate in Long Island. It was wonderful, it was insightful, it was useful. So it's a pleasure now to consolidate our joint meetings, and I hope it's going to become a tradition. Our institutions, the United Nations and the European Union, both transcend national borders and national interests. We believe in the need for international consensus and action. We believe in this need mainly also because it is so necessary to address the major global challenges of our time. And indeed, the world faces unprecedented challenges. We have not even healed from the effects of the pandemic when we were hit by the devastating consequences of Russia's aggression against Ukraine. There is, of course, the existential threat posed by climate change, but we also see the economic and social upheaval of the digital revolution, just to name some of the main issues. We know both that we can only tackle these through international cooperation now more than ever. And in other words, this means that the world needs the United Nations now more than ever. I want to emphasize the European Union's steadfast commitment to our strong partnership. We have today and tomorrow a packed agenda. I want to speak about 4 topics that are standing out. The first one is, of course, Ukraine. We will discuss our cooperation in support of Ukraine, but also in support of those who are indirectly affected by Russia's invasion. And here the big topic is, of course, the grain export from Ukraine to the world. We have in place our solidarity lanes, and they are complemented by your Black Sea Grain Initiative. The solidarity lanes have made it possible for 45 tons of grain and agri-food to be brought from Ukraine via the European Union to the rest of the world. Now we work very closely, hand in hand, to bring grain and other foodstuff to those who need it badly. And Secretary General, I want to thank you for your tireless efforts to prolong the Black Sea Grain Initiative. The world needs it. Russia has a responsibility to prolong it. Otherwise, global food insecurity will be the consequence. So now the ball is in President Putin's court, and the world is watching. Beyond the Black Sea Grain Initiative, however, there is, in the context of Russia's war, one important topic, and that is the whole discussion about and around upholding the UN Charter and the respect for the international law. And this goes to the core of who we are and where our institutions are built on. We do support President Zelensky's peace formula because it is based precisely on the principles of the UN Charter, and every single word is deducted from UN resolutions. So I look forward to discussing that with you, also how we can gather wide international support for it. The second big topic that we will be discussing is climate change and our preparations for COP28. The European Union is at the forefront of the clean energy transition and energy savings. We want to maintain our push for climate ambition, and we want to encourage the world to follow suit. And this is why we propose to define global targets on renewables and energy efficiency. We will discuss that tomorrow. This is in preparation of COP28. Of course, climate finance is crucial for developing economies and emerging markets. The massive gap that we see still in climate financing cannot be filled only by public finances. We need the private sector. Carbon pricing could also play an important role. So these are all topics that we are going to discuss tomorrow in depth. And the third topic is the global digital transition, the increasing power of artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is a revolution, and this revolution comes with enormous economic and social impact on our societies around the globe. On one hand, we need to harness the potential without any question, because it can increase prosperity and well-being. On the other hand, we also need to stay very vigilant regarding the effects of AI, the downside, if you look at information manipulation, at foreign interferences, for example, or the effect artificial intelligence can have on our society and the social cohesions. Last but certainly not least, we will look at how we can re-energize global efforts to meet the Sustainable Development Goals by 2030, a big topic. The European Union is acting very concretely on this already, in particular with our investment program Global Gateway. Here our hallmark is that our investment comes with high standards of openness and good governance. And we think these are crucial conditions for progress to benefit the population at large and to be sustainable over time. Here too, we share the understanding that public sector financing needs to be complemented by private sector financing. So here also we need to develop innovative instruments, tools to promote this. And we need to continue addressing the increasing debt vulnerabilities of developing countries. This was just a brief look at the big topics that we are discussing, a packed agenda. Once again, many thanks for coming here. I'm very much looking forward to our retreat.
Dear Ursula, thank you so very much for your warm welcome. And I'm indeed very happy to be back in Brussels. And I thank President Ursula von der Leyen and the European Commission for hosting this second UN-EU high-level dialogue. And this is the second, but it will be one of many that will happen every single year. We are meeting at a time when international cooperation is challenged at its core. The Russian invasion of Ukraine has shaken the region and the world. Climate change is crippling countries that contributed least to causing it. And countless people escaping conflict, persecution and poverty are left to die. And an uneven economic recovery from COVID-19 is exacerbating inequalities and feeding mistrust between the global West and the global South, which finds itself blocked from access to crucial development finance. This is when multilateralism is more vital than ever, to bring peace, to protect the planet, to end hunger, to build guardrails for new technologies, and I know that our two organizations share these priorities. I'm grateful for your contributions to our efforts, from climate action to sustainable development, from peace and security to human rights and gender equality. And this now yearly dialogue is testament to the importance of our partnership. We live in an ever more multipolar world, and this calls for enhanced forms of cooperation and multilateral governance anchored in international law. And the European Union must be an essential pillar of this new global order. I remember my times in another capacity more than 20 years ago when I was deeply committed to strengthen and to stronger integration of the European Union. And it was my deep conviction that a fundamental pillar of a multilateral order is a strong and united European Union. And together, we must help bridge geopolitical divides and address these global challenges. It starts with rebuilding trust, particularly with developing countries, and we do not have a moment to lose. To rescue the Sustainable Development Goals, we need a transformation of the global financial system so that it works for everyone and fulfills its role as a global safety net. And I see the European Union as a potential engine for that transformation based on equity and solidarity. On climate, we need international cooperation for increased ambition on both mitigation and climate justice. I've appealed for a climate solidarity pact in which all big emitters make extra efforts to cut emissions and wealthier countries mobilize financial and technical resources to support emerging economies in a common effort to keep the goal of 1.5 degrees alive. And once again, I welcome what has been the EU's ongoing commitment in this regard. And finally, we desperately need international action on new technologies, including artificial intelligence. Governments, regional organizations, the private sector and civil society must come together to build common monitoring and governance tools so that technology serves human rights and the common good. On all these matters, the world looks at the European Union that has always been a pioneer in promoting a digital world for good. And I know, dear Ursula, that I can count on your full support. I look forward to all discussions, and I thank you again for your warm welcome. And as you can witness after these two interventions, we, I believe, were close to Dupont and Dupont.
I love it.
Thank you very much.